Yam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye. Before reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Govardhanadharam vande Gopala Goparupinam Gokula Utsavameshanam Govindam Gopika Priyam. Hare Krishna, Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, dear Vaishnavas, for joining on this auspicious day. Today is the last day of this Amavasya, and tomorrow the Purushottam Mass begins. So this is the day where the last day of Pitri Paksha also. And there is nothing better than reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for the forefathers. It is said during the Bhadra Purnima, we read that whoever gives Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, their forefather, that person goes back home, back to Godhead. The forefathers are dancing in ecstasy that my son, grandson, great-grandson, or generations down is reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So they are dancing because then they also get benefit. So today we will dedicate the fruit of our offering of our reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to all the forefathers who have been very, very instrumental in shaping us for what we are. So we have a lot of rina, but that rina can be paid off by being a good devotee. Gato mukundam parihritte kartam. One who takes shelters of Kṛṣṇa, then he pays off all the rina. So, keeping that in mind, let's study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, Instructions for the Civilized Human Beings. We read till text number 21 yesterday, and we were discussing about material greed and spiritual greed. How material greed, there is no satiation, there is no end point. There is always someone who is better than us. And when we look up, we'll be miserable, we'll be dejected, we will lose hope, we'll be ungrateful. So we should always, look people who may not be as blessed. On a spiritual side, we should always aspire for more. Tatra lolyam iti mulyam. There's only one mul. There's only one way to increase is intense hankering, greed. So therefore, material life is said to be the perverted reflection of spiritual life. The thing which is good in material, spiritual life, hankering, greed, is very, very disastrous in material life. The thing which is lowermost, or let's say in material world, service, no one wants to be anyone's servant, is topmost in material world or spiritual world. So let's study the next verse, text 22. Asankalpa jayet kamam krodham kama vivarjanat arthanartha ksheyaya lobham bhayam tattva vam shranat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. By making plans with determination, one should give up lusty desires for sense gratification. Similarly, by giving up envy, one should conquer anger. By discussing the disadvantages of accumulating wealth, one should give up greed. And by discussing the truth, one should give up fear. Purport: Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has suggested how one can conquer lusty desires for sense gratification. One cannot give up thinking of women, for thinking in this way is natural. Even while walking on the street, one will see so many women. However, if one is determined not to live with a woman, even while seeing a woman, he will not become lusty. If one is determined not to have sex, he can automatically conquer lusty desires. The example given in this regard is that even if one is hungry, if on a particular day he is determined to observe fasting, he can naturally conquer the disturbances of hunger and thirst. If one is determined not to be envious of anyone, he can naturally conquer anger. Similarly, if one can give up the desire to accumulate wealth simply by considering how difficult it is to protect the money in one's possession. If one keeps a large amount of cash with him, he is always anxious about keeping it properly. Thus, if one discusses the disadvantages of accumulating wealth, he can naturally give up business without difficulty. Okay, now we will focus on the solution. How to give up those lust, anger, and greed. How to give up different anarthas. So from text 22 onwards, the topic is changing. Earlier we were talking about how lust, anger, greed is disastrous, what are their harmful effects, etc. But now the Narad Muni, who's talking to Yudhishthira Maharaj, is changing the topic and is explaining how to overcome. And the answer is asankalpa jayat kamam. So sankalpa, the power of determination, that I will not do this. And Prabhupada is giving, Vishnu Shakti Thakur is mentioning, it's not that on the day of Ekadashi or when we vow to fast on Janmashtami or other days, do we feel hungry? Yes, to be honest, do we, sometimes someone may feel hungry. Most people will feel hungry. But there's a determination that I have to fast for a higher cause. Then the mind and senses don't bother much. And one is busy engaged in other things like chanting, reading, hearing, discussing, etc., then the mind and senses don't bother. So the vow, the determination is mentioned here. So we cannot avoid seeing a woman living in this world or the opposite sex. We cannot avoid that. But one should have determination that this is not good for me. Why I should think about that opposite sex? So it is unhealthy. So discussing about that, discussing the harmful effects. When the why is strong, then how becomes easier. So why I don't want to do that? Let's say if the best of the best beauty, Mr. World or Miss World comes and they say, okay, I want to embrace you. I want to enjoy with you. But we know that if they are suffering from sexually transmitted diseases, will any intelligent person, try to enjoy with them? No. Simple. Because for a moment of pleasure, one does not want to die. Very simple. So when the why is strong, then the how becomes easier. Similarly, we need to have a firm resolve, resolution, determination that this is not good for me. This will take me to hell. This will bind me more in the body and in the bodily disease. This will bind me more to the cycle of birth and death. This will take me to the hellish species. This will take me to again a dog species. I'm enjoying I'm doing what the pigs and the asses do. This is not good for me. Why I should do this? Same anger by giving up the objective of sense desire. Greed by considering the problems of wealth. So, what are the problems of wealth? Wealthy people are sometimes in more anxiety. How do I protect? How do I protect? Zillions of types or tens of types of insurances are there. And we know, have you ever heard that a poor man's home got robbery? Probably not. What will he have in his home that people will take? But a rich man is always concerned. Oh, they should not take this, they should not take this. So that's what this purport is telling by discussing the disadvantages. We learned the lesson from the bees as well. Uh, we learned the lesson from the python as well. So even in this society, we discuss even on practical level, like Lehman Brothers and very very wealthy people doing kind of match fixing or some like bad corruption, etc. They already have very fat bank accounts, but still. So discussing this will make us help us to understand that something is shallow. Just having a fat bank account is not leading to happiness. Are all the wealthy people most happy in the world? Certainly not. Certainly not. Michael Jackson used to say, I sleep like a child because after every 2 hours I get up and cry. So imagine the situation. Lot of wealth, name, fame, beauty, truckloads of greeting cards would come at his home on his birthday. But inside, so shallow. Trucks will come. Imagine 5 trucks standing outside your home to deliver your birthday greeting card. So millions of followers. So everyone has sent a card. So, but inside it's just shallow. But bhakti is internal. It helps, it gives that inner happiness. So when we discuss in the right association, it will make us understand the reality of life, because no one, everyone else in the material world will talk about how to make more money, how to enjoy more, how to enjoy opposite sex. No, there are hundreds of books, how to enjoy more, how to make more money, how to do this, how to do that, enjoy. But Bhagavatam tells us what is real enjoyment. So, therefore, we are discussing, contemplating resolution, so we can one day give up by getting that higher taste of bhakti. Any comments anyone has? Yes, Nandini Mataji, you were speaking something.
Very nice explanation, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I would just
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, Prabhuji, this one, I remember you talking about for the wealthy, the 99 Club. So, the king was there and, the minister, he thinks that the poor person is very happy always, right? But the king is always in anxiety. So the minister suggests that, I saw it in the Telugu, they call it Tenali Ramakrishna, and he is a very wise minister. So he says, okay, keep 99 gold coins in front of his home door near his plant, tulsi plant or whatever plant, something like that. So when in the morning the wife goes to, tries to put some water, she finds these gold coins. So they dig everywhere and they get all the gold coins, and then they count like 100 times. Always they find only 99 gold coins. So they are thinking, where is the other 100th coin? And now they are in a misery to earn that 100th coin. And by the time he earns that, she has spent some more. So whole, that person was very happy, and now he became the most miserable even after finding the 99 gold coins. And about the women, Prabhuji, yeah, so I can tell, like, whenever now I think see of women like that, who is showing off and all, I think, like, it is like liquid beauty. So now I don't even of course, Lord. So I think this kind of example relates very much. If we think that everything is this 5 elements of earth, you'll not get even like desire or anything like that. And that's my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Sadhu, 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 sadhu. You are a sadhu, so you speak sadhu. Very nice.
No, Prabhuji, your words, these are very practical examples.
Yes, Shastras are very, very practical. They are meant to be lived by, not just read. So you are doing that very nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those two stories. Anything else before we move on? Any comments, questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes, please.
Prabhuji, based on a discussion, I had a question or a clarification. See, Prabhuji mentioned the example of Michael Jackson. So I was just thinking, so what is the difference? Are they experiencing the happiness at their mind level? And when you mentioned about inner happiness, if our soul is going to experience it, or the Paramatma is experiencing it. So, what was the people that they were? What was the thing that they were lacking, so they couldn't experience the happiness? So, like, I want to differentiate it, Prabhuji. That what is the inner happiness? The real explanation of inner happiness is our soul experience it, or our Paramatma is experiencing it?
Thank you. Very nice question. You missed yesterday's class, I believe, right? Were you present yesterday?
No, Prabhuji, I had Bhagavad Sorry, I couldn't.
Yes, yes. So we discussed this yesterday very, very nicely, and I think one devotee asked the previous day. So basically, the inner satisfaction of a devotee is in the connection with the Supreme Lord. That is what the topmost of materialist is missing. Their whole life is I-centered. I, me, and mine. Aham, mama. My wealth, my property, my name, my fame, my recognition. And therefore that brings insecurity. Oh, they're favoring him more. Oh, what will happen to this? Oh, what will happen to my job? They may have hundreds and millions of dollars in their bank account, but still concerned about tomorrow, still concerned about future. On the contrary, a devotee may not have much, but he's happy. Okay, Kṛṣṇa wants to keep me in poor situations. Soba. Kṛṣṇa wants. The real happiness for a devotee does not come in material things, does not come in how much external things he or she may have or not have. The real, because there is nothing there. His Grace Amrish Prabhu, Alfred Ford, said that everyone is trying to get to the end of the road. I was born at the end of the road, but there was nothing. A lot of Prabhupada disciples, like Giriraj Maharaj, extraordinarily millionaire. He was not, like person good for nothing. His parents were millionaires at that point. In that point, like 50 years back, millionaires were a big thing. And then they understood that this thing. They tried. Some of the disciples tried everything. What do people find happiness in? Intoxication, buying expensive alcohols, trying meat eating, trying opposite sex, trying drugs. But all those things don't give happiness because we are not connected to the root of all happiness, that is Kṛṣṇa, Lord Rama, the source of all happiness, Lord Kṛṣṇa, the source of all attractiveness. So the material energy serving that without the connection to Kṛṣṇa will not give real happiness. And therefore, it is shallow. Therefore, the materialist will never be happy no matter how much one may have until one connects to Kṛṣṇa. Yes, Nandini Mataji wants to. Does that, Lakshmi Mataji, does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. So now one more small doubt. So while I'm doing devotional service, I feel very happy. So my soul is happy. Is the Paramatma inside me is also happy? Like, how do I know that? Or I'm just
Mataji, if I may
Yes.
answer.
Yeah, please.
So, Paramatma is Krishna, is a form of Vishnu is inside us. So He's always happy. He's Atmaram. He's Sada, always happy, always eternal bliss and happiness, right? Now, Atma is also actually happy. But there is on the top of Atma, there's an impression, mind, intelligence, that material body is there, right? So that impression that Atma has is feeling that, making it feel that unhappy. But that unhappiness is external. It's like a cover. Like yesterday, Poonam Mataji said, Krishna consciousness is like a shield. When that shield is broken, then you will have the impression, and that impression is of unhappiness. But it's just an impression. It's like a shadow. Is shadow real? Yeah, but it's not the real person, right? Does that help you answer the question?
Yes, Mataji. So I'm trying to understand. Paramatma is always Satchitananda. He's always blessed.
Yeah.
And our soul is also always blissful. So it's also the same nature, but it is
Yeah,
being
in the
covered
minute
with the.
quantity. So Krishna is everything is in unlimited quantity, Paramatma, and Atma is in limited quantity.
Yeah, it's a particle of Krishna. So it is also the same blissful, but we are covered with the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So
Yeah.
when the impurities are gone, actually, what we are experiencing is actually the bliss of our soul, which is already in that condition. We don't have to do anything extra. We have to just clean the impurity like that. Is my understanding correct, Mataji?
So you are saying that you don't have to do anything extra for what?
No. Already the soul is happy. We don't have to create something happiness for it. We have to do all the procedure to clean it, to clean the impurities, to get purified.
Yeah. We just have to turn towards Krishna. We just have to put all our focus and attention and whole and soul of everything into Krishna. Whatever we are doing to please Krishna, right? Most of the times we are turning away from Krishna. So we just have to, the Paramatma and Atma, two birds on the same tree, just has to turn towards Paramatma.
Okay, Mataji, that makes more sense. So when we are materially attached, we are not even turning towards Krishna, and we are getting more impurities. So we can never feel the bliss of the soul, which is already blissful, but we cannot experience it. That's what the material people are.
We tend to, we are in the Tatastha Shakti, we are in the Bahiranga Shakti at that time. When we think about material stuff, we become in that Shakti, and there is no happiness there. We can just hanker for happiness. We can just like the Kasturi Mrug, the journey within, if you do, it's the happiness is inside us. The fragrance is coming from us, but we are looking for happiness everywhere else.
Yes, we go on search. We go on changing where is happiness, but we don't know it's inside. Yes, Mataji, that's a wonderful explanation. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we will read the next question. Next verse. Yes, Bankim Prabhu, want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, all devotee, Dhanavad Pranam. Text 23. Anvikshaya Shoka Moha Dama Vaham Mahad Upashaya Igantayam Manuena Himsham Kamde Anihaya. Translation of purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. By discussing spiritual knowledge, one can conquer lamentation and illusion. By serving a great devotee, one can become breadless by keeping silence. One can avoid obstacles on the path of mystic yoga, and simply by stopping senses gratification, one can conquer envy. If one's son has died, one may certainly be affected by lamentation and illusion and cry for the dead son. But one may overcome lamentation and illusion by considering the verses of Bhagavad Gita. Jatasa hi dhruva mitro dhrubham janam mitro sayaja. As the soul transmigrate, one who has taken birth must give up the present body, and then he must certainly accept another body. This should be no cause of lamentation. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, Dhirastra na mohati, one who is dhira or sober, who is learned in philosophy and established in knowledge, cannot be unhappy over the transmigration of the soul. Oji, back to you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So in the previous verse, Narad Muni told how to overcome lust, anger, greed, and fear. In this verse, Narad Muni is telling how to overcome lamentation, pride, obstacles, and envy. Prabhupada is discussing this point, that how to overcome lamentation and illusion. One of the biggest reversals, which pretty much everyone goes through at some point or the other, is loss of a dear one. It could be loss of mother, father, brother, sister, son, daughter, etc., etc. And it is certainly very heavy. One who is going through that phase, it's very, very heavy. How to overcome that? By spiritual knowledge. And there have been multiple examples. Even Hiranyakashipu, how he pacified his relatives, the wives of Hiranyaksha and his relatives, by discussing spiritual knowledge. And who remembers, he told a story. Let's see, who remembers which story he told? Raise your hand first. Let me see who all remember. Okay, Nandini Mataji remembers. No one else remembers which story he told?
Narad Muni Prabhu?
No.
No. What was the question, Prabhu? I did not.
Hiranyakashipu told a story to his relatives to pacify them upon the loss of Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha was dead, and all the relatives were crying.
It's the first chapter in this canto.
Yes. You want to share, Mataji?
All I remember, Prabhu, is Yamaraj himself came as a little boy, and how he pacified the relatives of another person. He told them in the form of a story. And in that story, Lord Yamaraj was the small boy, and some Nishigandha or something like that. The queens were crying over the death of their husband. And everybody thought that was so charming that such a little boy can talk about death and how to come over it, grief, and they did come over. Back to you, Prabhu. I hope that's correct.
Yes. Yamraji comes as a little child, and then he pacifies and tells the story of Ushinara. I guess that was the name of the king of that place. I can quickly tell that. Was it in the first chapter or at a later point?
Second chapter.
Second chapter, yes. Yes, Suyagya, the story of Suyagya. So basically, the queens were lamenting. So now there's a story within a story in the story. So it comes from text 27 onwards, chapter 2. And Yamaraji is telling this story. So Hiranyakashipu is talking about Yamaraji who came, and Yamaraji narrated the story because people like to hear stories. So Hiranyakashipu is consoling his relatives upon the death. So basically, he's giving a lot of nice spiritual knowledge. If we forget who is speaking, then it looks like the words of a Mahabhagavad. So the queens were crying, and then this boy comes Let me share this. So Suyagya was dead. The queens were crying. So Suyagya was the king of Ushinara. Yes, correct. I remembered that word. So Suyagya was the king of Ushinara, is a province. And then finally, the Suyagya was dead, in a war. And then the queens were crying, "Hey, alas, alas, alas! Hi, hi, hi! My husband is dead. Our husband is dead." And then he was the maintainer of Ushinara. They didn't allow even the body to be burned because they were so attached to the body. They didn't allow. And then Yamaraj ji, instructs the queens about the eternal nature of the soul, same as what Lord Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita. So that everything is happening by the Lord's will. Uh, he said that you all are older to me, because Yamaraj ji came as a young child, as a young boy, and the queens were much older. And but you are crying. Why are you lamenting? Will your tears cause the body back into life? Will your tears bring the body into life? So I am just a child, but I am not crying. You are much older to me, and you are crying like anything. So this is the wonder of the Lord. And then he explained the science of soul, that how the soul is different from the body. The soul is eternal. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha. So basically giving that knowledge, that Atma is eternal and body is temporary, and soul is separate from the body. And finally, by that knowledge, and he also told the story of two birds, Kulinga birds, that how a hunter captured the she-bird, and then the Kulinga birds, there was a pair of Kulinga birds, and they were captured by the hunter, and the babies were very, very helpless and were thinking, okay, how do we maintain? So the hunter killed the male bird also. So what happened basically in lamenting, the male bird was also lamenting, and then he also lost his life. That was the essence. Oh, alas, my wife is lost, my wife is lost. It didn't lead to any good consequence, rather he also lost his wife. That is in chapter 2 of this canto. But the point here is, and this is just one instance, there have been many, many instances where the great souls have used spiritual knowledge, like Krishna telling to Arjuna, and with many other examples as well. So how can we overcome illusion? Through spiritual knowledge. Illusion means darkness. Spiritual knowledge gives us light. Jnana deepena. It opens us our light with the torch of knowledge, our eyes with the torch of knowledge. Then how can we overcome pride? Let's talk about that. Pride, is overcome by serving Vaishnavas. By serving under direction, we overcome pride. It is easy to act independently and whimsically and think, oh, I am right, whatever I think is right. But when we serve under direction of advanced Vaishnava, who is mature, or Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, etc., that is the formula, by serving great devotees. Prabir Prabhu, you want to share something? How we can overcome pride by this formula? Any thoughts? Anyone wants to share how we can overcome pride? Do we feel it will help us to overcome pride?
Yes. Book distribution, Prabhuji.
I don't know how you linked book distribution to this topic.
So book distribution, or anything like preaching activity, we get rejections, and that might help.
Yes, certainly. Yeah. But here the topic is, by serving a great devotee, one can become prideless. So let's discuss that topic. Silas Prabhu, tell something.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So when we are serving and they call a devotee, we take a position, a lower position, and we are accepting the dust of his feet. which you have said many times, though we are physically taking the dust, actually the meaning is we are willing to follow all the instructions of that person. So a person with pride cannot do that. We see today, even the younger generation, they don't respect the older generation because they want to do things their own way, and they don't want to follow the instructions of the previous generation. So if we can overcome pride by following the instructions, so we respect and are full of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. So if we follow his instructions well, and take a subordinate position to the higher Vaishnavas, we can conquer.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's what we say, servant of the servant of the servant. It's not just, I'll come back to you, Punamataji. Not just theoretically speaking. That means I am Das. And Das means humility. Humility means pridelessness. How can we be a true servant when we feel, okay, I know everything, what's best for me, but let me just speak because everyone else is speaking. Let me also speak. I'm your servant. That really means that I do not know what is right for me. You please guide me. I take your shelter. You tell me what's best for me. The great soul, the great Goswamis approached Lord Chaitanya and said, I do not know what is right for me. People call me Pandita, but I am a Murkha. People think I am great, but I am a fool. So that is the attitude, that is the humble consciousness of a person who genuinely takes shelter of a Guru. And based on the shelter, Tadvidi Pranipatena Parikrishna Sevaya, the Guru will see, the advanced soul will see and guide accordingly. So the idea is that I do not know what's right for me. Please help me overcome this. Please help me become free from pride. So it needs a lot of humility to genuinely say that and to follow that. And that is the formula to be free from pride. Yes, Punamataji, you were speaking something.
Prabhuji, I was just going to give one example that I have experienced for pride. So I think if I just started reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on my own, I would have felt like, oh, I have started reading such a great scriptures myself. Oh, I'm doing such a good thing on my own, But since I'm doing with the senior devotees, that helped me to overcome the pride, thinking everybody has such a deep knowledge, such a big, great understanding of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and I am fortunate to be sitting in this group and in this association and learning something that I don't know, and that really helped me to overcome the pride and freed me from the pride, Prabhuji, I think, in that way.
Thank you. You're so humble. Therefore, you have that nice consciousness. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Any other comments or questions anyone has on this topic? Obstacles in yoga can be overcome by being silent, and envy and violence can be overcome by giving up sense gratification. So this verse talks.
As you say, Prabhu, blindly following cannot be the pride. It has to be genuinely should something in your mind. Maybe you pray to the Lord. That is the will. But just blindly following, okay, because of this devotee is doing such a thing, let me do the same thing. I don't think so. That fits into the pride for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's my understanding.
I'm not sure if I properly understood your comment. Can you please elaborate a little?
No, the pride.
Blindly following someone? Blindly following. You said blindly, right?
Yeah, blindly. So if you follow someone blindly because of this devotee does let me do the same thing. That I feel it doesn't comes under the what you are asking, like pride, you know.
Yeah, that's a totally different. Basically, here it's mentioned by serving a great devotee. And serving, what does serving mean? How can we serve a great devotee? Let's talk about that first. What is meant by serving? How can we serve Srila Prabhupada? Okay, let's take some quick, just say like 1 or 2 words. How can we serve Srila Prabhupada, everyone? Let's see who wants to share.
We can certainly read his books.
Okay, reading his books. Yes, short and quick. Reading his books, that's very nice. What else?
Distributing books.
Distributing books, very nice.
Spreading Krishna consciousness to other people.
Spreading, preaching, very nice.
Following 4 regulative principles.
Following 4 regulative principles. And what else?
Offering bhoga to the Lord.
Offering bhoga to the Lord.
Serving the devotees.
Serving Vaishnavas, devotees, very nice.
Chanting rounds.
Chanting our minimum 16 rounds, that's very important. That's the foremost thing.
Doing the kirtan about
doing
him.
Kirtan, yes. Yes, all these things are very nice. So what are we doing? We're serving great soul. Serving primarily means following instruction, as Vishwamsi Prabhu said. So what you were talking, Umesh Prabhu, I think maybe there is a disconnect there. You're talking about imitation. Imitation is not good. We cannot imitate Haridas Thakur. We'll fall down. We will, or someone may be, we cannot imitate Prabhupada or Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They were, whole night they were doing translation. Who can do that? So that's imitation. Or blindly, oh, Prabhupada was doing this, I will also do this. Or someone ex-devotee is doing this, I will also do that. So inspiration is one thing, following the footsteps is one thing, and imitation is totally opposite or totally like side thing. We will fall on our, face if we try to artificially imitate that. Was that your point? So that's not good. Yes, you were on. That's what you mentioned, right? You meant?
Yeah.
That's not good. Correct. Oh, it's almost time. Any other comments, questions anyone has?
Prabhuji, we should not imitate, but at least we should try to follow their footsteps, right, Prabhuji? Try, of course, we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur, but we can take the inspiration from them, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, that's what I mentioned. We must take inspiration. We must try to follow the footsteps. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. To follow in their footsteps. That is the bona fide process. To take inspiration. Okay, right now I'm fallen, but I want to improve. I want to chant purely. I want to chant more. I want to increase the quantity and quality of my chanting. Maybe one day Kṛṣṇa will bless me to chant more and more better rounds and quality and quantity. So yes, absolutely. Anything else anyone wants to
Hare
share?
Krishna Prabhuji, in the 2 verses, there's 2 instructions about envy. So in the previous verse, it said that envy can be conquered by giving up envy by conquering anger. And in this verse, it is so giving up envy by stopping sense gratification. So how can we understand these 2? This in both in the translation.
Dhyayato Vishyan Kunsa Sangastishu Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodha Vijayate. So from lust comes anger. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vipramaha. So basically it's all cyclical kind of. They're all, it's not that one has lot of envy but never gets angry. Doesn't work like that. Or one has One is very, very humble, but is full of pride. Or one was full of pride, but very, very satisfied. Something like that. The divine qualities and the demonic qualities, they go kind of, hand in hand, each one. So let's read it more carefully. Giving up envy, one should overcome anger. So anger, when does anger come? When the desires are not fulfilled. Kamat Dhyato Vishyan Punsa. So from Vishay, from the sense objects, basically, what comes? Lust. Contemplation on sense objects. And from that comes anger, if it is fulfilled or not fulfilled. So where is this? Where is the envy in this verse? Okay. By giving up sense gratification. I'm trying to think of a suitable example.
So when we get angry at someone, are we really envious of that person? Maybe it's our expectation that that person is not meeting and we get angry. Does envy relate to that expectation that we have for another person?
Yeah, it's kind of linked. Absolutely. Absolutely, it's linked. Because why that person didn't do what I want him or her to do? That leads to anger. And that is because of envy. Envy is my way should be done because I'm the boss. I'm great. Because one is puffed up with pride and one is not empathetic towards others. So if things are not done his or her way, that person feels angry. And that's because of envy, and ultimately envy from Kṛṣṇa. Because we are not understanding that that person is also spirit soul.
Yes, Prabhuji. That is the fact. I'm sorry to interrupt like this, Hare Krishna.
No, go ahead.
This is practical feeling. Because we try to control the situations. We don't consider them as arranged by Krishna. We try everything should happen as per our happiness, convenience, as per our likings. We are not taking our near ones, dear ones. The anger starts from the family within. When we start taking them as entities that belong to Krishna and their actions as also a part of their own existence, and we don't try to control them, and we accept and we try to improve them, then the anger decreases. This is something happening from our surroundings. I'm not talking about the professional atmosphere, about the family, our near ones, our dear ones. If we start seeing it as an arrangement of Krishna, and we feel that we feel subsided when we see Krishna there. I feel that. And one more example, Prabhuji, when you were talking about that for envy, anger, lust, in Sri Haridas Thakur's life cycle, you remember the story which you forward, the movie, and he was tried to be conquered by a lady. Her name was Hirabai, and she was converted as a disciple by chanting the names. Haridas Thakur ji gave her the idea to chant 64 rounds daily and become Lakshya. So the thing is that chanting is somehow helping us every day to conquer all our lust, anger, and greed also. This is my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your realizations. So all go hand in hand. Lust, anger, greed, envy, they're kind of interlinked. It's not a person is full of lust, but never gets angry. You will not find that combination. But it's a person is full of envy, but never gets angry. They all go in hand in hand. So some may want to have a little more of this, a little more of that, but they're kind of linked. So it's good we are discussing this, and that's a bona fide way, because Shastra, Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur is saying, by discussing all these, we can at least, it will go deeper in our heart. Those examples, someone may take inspiration from stories, someone from Haridas Thakur's life, someone from this, someone from other examples, someone from Prabhupada's life, and we can try to improve.
Prabhuji, I have a question. I don't understand this one. The word in text 23 in translation. By keeping silent on one can avoid obstacles on the path of mystic yoga.
That's also interesting. So sometimes in our bhakti also we need to be silent. So mature devotee knows when to speak and when to be too silent. So, we discussed a few days back that people will say, hey, Baswati Mataji, this is not your time to do bhakti. You should enjoy life. Silence. Yeah. Okay. So when to silent? So at that point, we have to be silent. And we're talking about bhakti yoga, and talking about mystic yoga. Sometimes someone will say, oh, let me tell you about, what happened to that devotee, this devotee, they are doing this. Don't tell anyone. I'm telling this to you only. So we have to be silent there. No, I'm not interested to hear all that crap. So silent. We should keep our ears silent, not allow that to go inside. Criticism, fault finding, envy, etc. We should know when to, because we have to protect. It's like a creeper has to be guarded, by the fence. It's a budding creeper. Our Bhakti Beej is not yet fully matured. At least I'm talking about myself. It's just in a bud. It's a bud, a creeper, Beej. So we have to garden it nicely by keep giving Shravanadi Jal. But at the same time, we have to be at silence at times by not speaking ill about devotees, by not criticizing devotees, by not talking nonsensical, gramya katha, gossiping. So we'll avoid obstacle. Otherwise, Maya is very strong. Our obstacle, lust, anger, greed will increase. If we talk, we're supposed to be silent. And real silence in bhakti means to speak Krishna katha. Some people are they just they'll put a covering on their face or mauna vrata. So that is not bhakti process. The bhakti process is to speak, but to speak Krishna conscious katha, like how we are engaging, because Krishna has given us the ability to speak. If Krishna did not want us to speak, then why would he give the ability to speak? He's given us the ability to speak, given us a choice. We can talk about Krishna consciousness or we can talk about gossip here. So the right choice is to engage that sense of speech in his service. That's also called silence in a transcendental way. Anything else? Thank you.
And Prabhupada translates silence as always just chanting Hare Krishna. That's also considered perfect silence.
Wow, that's so amazing. Anything else? Thank you, Nandini Mataji. Okay, so we are already over time, but Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur was mentioning that we should discuss, so we should discuss these verses. That is the formula to overcome these anarthas. So it's good that we discuss so many nice comments and questions. So we'll stop at this point, and tomorrow, as we all know, this Purushottam Mass is beginning, also known as Adhik Mass. So we have already discussed the glories in great detail. I'm not going now. But think about what extra I would like to do as an offering to the Lord. what I was not doing the rest of the days or months. This is such an auspicious time, auspicious month. Extra mercy is available, thousands of times more important than any other month, even more important than Kartik. So I must take this benefit of this extra mercy by engaging more in my spiritual life, in my sadhana, seva, etc. So all those things have already been shared. The lecture is there. If you want to hear again, it's your choice. I'm not going in detail, but let's pray so we can intensely follow this Purushottam Vrata to the best of our abilities. Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.